Thank you, Dennis. The first car I ever bought was a 1986 Mercury Lynx like this one. It was a hatchback. It could fit 4 people. It was a 4-speed manual shift. And when I first got it, I wanted to take care of this car. And so I asked a mechanic friend of mine, hey, what do I need to do to make sure I take care of this car? Because this is the only car I might have for a long time. And what are the most expensive and difficult things to fix on the car? He said, you know, even though it's a small car, it is not a sports car. So if you slow down before you make your turns, you'll keep your brakes and your tires better. And if you disengage the clutch every time you stop, you'll keep that clutch healthier. So that made sense to me, and I did exactly what he said. 6 years later, I sold that car with 186,000 miles on that car, with only 2 sets of brakes, and 3 sets of tires. I had the original clutch and the original engine in that car. Now, a few years later in my career, I bought my dream car. My dream car was a 1991 classic Jaguar. It was strong. It was a luxury car designed to drive like a sports car. It was heavy. It was powerful. And I drove it like I was auditioning for the Fast and Furious movie. Tight turns, fast braking, always over the speed limit. I drove that car like it was like I was auditioning. And the thing is, it was always in the shop and expensive to fix. My friends kept telling me, Aaron, you know, that car's expensive to fix. Why don't you just get a cheaper car and, you know, and get a brand new car? But you see, I love that car. And it was the kind of love that only another Jaguar owner and a Jag mechanic could appreciate. I had been driving this car, and every time I take it in, I'd take care of my baby, take care of my baby. And one day, my mechanic broke the news to me. He said, Aaron, I know you love this car, but even if we can fix it, we can't get parts for the car anymore. So why don't you buy yourself a Chevy or something easier to take care of? I said, oh, man. Okay. I donated that car. I watched them tow it away with a tow truck. 60,000 miles on that car that I drove on there. Only 60,000. Now, even though they make, in terms of our bodies, you can get replacement parts. Now, I got the slides a little bit out of order here, so you can get replacement parts. You can get replacement parts for your car. And then, but the thing is, they're hard to come by and they're expensive. And somehow, when you get these replacement parts for your body, they never work as good as the original factory parts. So before you have to, wait, there you go. There it is. Before you have to tow your own body into the junkyard, I want to talk to you about, I want to be your friend, the mechanic. And I want to talk to you about how to take care of your body so that you can get the most mileage out of your original factory equipment. Can you feel me now?
I'm feeling it, yes.
Okay. Now, back in the Bible days, the most dreaded disease was leprosy. It was thought that if you had a disease, it was because you had sinned. And the worse your sin, the worse your disease. And that if you had leprosy, you had a stroke by God. You'd been hit by God. And so that means that since you were so unclean, you had to be sequestered away from society because some of that stuff might rub off on other people. And so since then, we now know, hang on. We now know leprosy as Hansen's disease, but today, we still think of a stroke as some kind of one-time, life-altering event. So you could actually, you could hit the lottery and strike it rich. You could have a stroke of good luck with your business and have a big event and strike it rich. You could also have a stroke of bad luck, like in a car accident. And you could, like this guy, get struck by lightning. Can you imagine what it's like to be cooked and still live? You can see the veins, all that blood is cooked. You can see his bones down his back. He's been cooked, and he's still alive. Now, in 2008, I had a mini stroke. It's otherwise known as a TIA, short for transient ischemic attack. And it happened in three painful waves behind my left eye. And then no pain at all. But all day I had slurred speech, and I was dripping out of one corner. And I was walking into walls after I'd looked at the doorway and then, boom, walk into the wall. So something was wrong. I went to the neurologist, and he looked at me. I'm fit. I'm strong. He says, "You'll be fine. You're in good shape. You'll get over it. Just take it easy." But I know my body. My health standards are way high. And I said, something's still wrong. So I went to my other neurologist, and he said, "You know, Aaron, you had a TIA. You gotta sleep as much as you can sleep, get nourishment, and make sure that you don't do the kind of stuff you were doing." Because I had membership at 2 gyms, and I was in martial arts. And so I was running my body and not giving it enough rest. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And a TIA, it hits me on one side of the brain. But then, in 2018, I had been, hang on, yeah, there you go, good. In 2018, can you see? I got nothing on there now, right? Okay, right. In 2018, prior to 2018, for 6 years, I had been insomniac. And I was, imagine me overworked, pushing that thing. And for 5 years, I'd been taking Benadryls, 2 or 3 Benadryls every night to get to sleep. And then in 2017 in California, they legalized medical marijuana. And I discovered CBD cookies. And so I would take my cookie every night. 2 hours later, I'm easing on down the road, and I'm good. I had the best sleep of my life. And then one day, I didn't have my cookies with me. And so I decided, I went shopping, I went out for sushi, and then I stopped at the dispensary on the way home. Stopped at the dispensary, hey, they don't have my cookies. They don't even have like the gummies that I could eat, right? All they had was a vape pen. And for sleeping, it had just the CBD so I could get to sleep. I'm thinking, what could possibly go wrong? Later that night, it's after midnight, it's time for bed. I take 2 or 3 puffs, and 30 seconds later, it felt like my head exploded. And unlike my cookies, it felt like a guy just hit me in the head with a baseball bat. And unlike my cookies where I could take it and I know I'd ease on down the road, my life was insomniac, overworked, under-rested, and then you throw in a CBD at high temperature, in high concentration, straight into the brain. And that was a perfect storm that nearly took my life. Now, over the next few days, I'm thinking, I'm good. I'm thinking, I'm good. Because it's going to, the night that happened, I had what they call a thunderclap headache, which is the classic sign of a subarachnoid hemorrhage. But I didn't know I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. I thought it was bad sushi. So I'm thinking, oh, that sushi is going to go through my body and I'm going to be fine. It got a little bit better and then it started getting worse. I wind up at the hospital at Mills Peninsula, thank you very much. And they did a CAT scan and then they couldn't find anything. And then they did a spinal puncture and they found blood in my spinal fluid. There's not supposed to be blood in your spinal fluid, folks. And so they said, hey, listen, the neurologist has gone home tonight. If there's anything, we'll call you in the morning. So I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I get a ride home. Next morning I wake up, fortunately, and I'm in an Uber on the way to the dentist. I got a dental appointment, right? So I get a call. It's the hospital calling. Voice on the other side of the phone says, Mr. Parnell, this is the hospital calling. We want you to come back right now. And I said, hey, I'm on my way to the dentist. Why don't I catch you guys right after that? They said, sir, you might want to reconsider that. You've had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, and we want you to come back right now. And knowing me, I'm cool, I'm a badass, so I'll say, I'll reconsider it right after I get done with the dentist. And I hang up the phone, and I say, subarachnoid hemorrhage, never heard of that before. So I look up a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Now, if you look and see, there's the example on the left. You can see the diagram in the medical journals with the little red spot in the middle. On the other side, on the right, you see that bulge right there? That's me. That's my angiogram from my brain. You can see where the hemorrhage is, and you can see where all that blood's going all in the spinal fluid around the brain. That's my head. So I'm looking at this thing, and it turns out one guy dies on the spot. The next guy is disabled the rest of his life. And only one guy gets to live and tell the story. So you see, that's why I'm here. Amen. I'm thinking, hey, so I pull out $20, I give it to the Uber guy, and I say, take me to the hospital. We go right past the dentist and head straight to the hospital. I show up, I've got my briefcase and I've got my suit in my hand for an event that night. I say, hey guys, how long is this gonna take? I got an event I'm going to tonight. They say, sir, you're going to be busy for the next 12 to 18 months. So you should call them right now and tell them you're not coming. And I still don't get it. And that's on those moments when your life flashes before your eyes, I'm thinking, this is not supposed to happen to me. I'm a badass. I've taken 14 years in martial arts. I just did the Tough Mudder and did all 25 obstacles. I could outwork my employees who are in their 20s. And this is not supposed to happen to me. But then the hospital came, the ambulance came, and I got to be that guy in the ambulance stopping traffic because I was having a bad day at the moment. I make it to the hospital, and after a whole battery of tests, then they gave me the news, and they took pictures of my head, and you see them there. But the thing is, I have a confession to make. After 40 years of pushing the rock of success up the sand hill of scarcity, for 40 years, I was burned out. I was burned out. And I didn't give my brain any rest. I had posters on the ceiling. So when last thing I see and the first thing I see in the morning, I'm thinking about how successful I'm going to be someday. It's going to happen. When I would get up, I'd look into the side of the bed, and there's posters on the side that say success. And even when I'm laying awake, I can see back there where the videographer is, I have a poster up there. So I gave my brain no choice except to succeed, because failure is not an option. I would watch TV shows that where the guy would come in and take a failing business and turn it around in a week. My favorite was Shark Tank, where investors would invest their own money to turn a business around and make an amazing success. Now, the soundtrack to my movie was Trouble Man. I come up hard, baby. I had to fight. Take care of my business with all my might. I come up hard, hard, hard. I had to win. Then start all over and win again. I come up hard, but that's okay, 'cause Trouble Man don't get in my way. I'm ready to make it, don't care about the weather, don't care about no trouble, got myself together. I got the kind of protection that's all around me. And I would sing that song to myself every night, because I was gonna make it, because success is my only option. In addition to that, I documented everything I discovered. I've written 4 books. I've written over 100 articles. I created a training series that benefits every branch of physical medicine. I've taught over 1,000 people how to do all or parts of what I do. Some of those people are right in this room. Raise your hand. Yep, some of those people in this room. So, my show's not supposed to stop. And I got a ride to the hospital in an ambulance. I get to the hospital, and they take me in, and then they put me through another CAT scan, and they did all these tests and all the angiogram and the sound thing, and they put me out. By the end of the day, I am weary. I am exhausted. I'm laying down, and I'm exhausted from 40 years of pushing that rock up the sand hill. And as I'm drifting to sleep, I don't know whether it's 10 o'clock or whether it's 7 o'clock, but I am exhausted. And I could feel my spirit just sort of drifting into the ceiling like black snowflakes in reverse. And then I'm on the other side in a black limousine with 2 spirits. There's one next to me and one across from him, diagonal to me. And the limousine pulls up in front of a building. It's like a nondescript building. It's got a red awning that goes from the driveway to the building. And the door opens up to the car. I get out and I say, hey, there's that white light they were talking about. And I could feel the magnetic pull toward the light. And then from inside the car, both of the spirits say, no, don't look at the light. Don't look at the light. Okay, all right. I won't look at the light. So then we go inside the building, and it's dark like moonlight and stars. And I look up and I say, what? There's people just walking by, it's dark. You imagine, there's white light outside, but inside it's really dark. You look downstairs like we've walked onto a mezzanine. There's nothing down there. It's all black. And then there are these people walking by, and they clearly have sackcloth on, and they're really, really sad. And in the back of the crowd, I hear somebody say, my kids, who's going to take care of my kids? And then I hear another voice say, what's going to happen to my business? And I realize these people are all sad because they're on the other side and they didn't finish all their work. And I start backing up like this. Whoa, hey, this is not for me. This is not my time. God wants me to save the world and I'm not done. Get me out of here right now. And then I look at my arms, I got IVs in my arms, I got oxygen in my nose, I look at the monitor, like, oh, okay, I'm still beeping. And then I hear people outside talking, okay. And that was my moment of surrender. I burst into tears and I cried for about a half an hour. God, I don't know why you have me here. I don't know why you had to hit me in the head with a baseball bat. I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how my business is going to survive. I don't know what's going to happen to my body. I don't know what's going to be left after this is all over, but I'm not quitting. You sent me here to do something, and I'm not done. And so I woke up the next morning, and in my head, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I'm a badass. I'm like that guy, Lieutenant Dan. Who's seen Forrest Gump, the movie? Remember Lieutenant Dan in the storm? I'm like that guy. But then I realized that I'm in the hospital with oxygen in my nose, and I almost died. I was on the other side with my spirits, and I had a choice. I could have gone to the light. No, I'm good. I could have said, God, I'm going to the light. And I could get on the mezzanine, the dark mezzanine of regret with these other people. But no, my time's not done. And so I get to be the 1 in 3 who lives to tell the story. Spent 9 days in the hospital. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the doctors to help save my life. There are numerous passages throughout the Bible in which Jesus is cited as being this extraordinary healer. But did you ever stop to think that he did so much more healing than he did preaching? Everywhere he would go, people would follow him around. So, to watch the man from Galilee heal people. One lady wanted to get so close to him that they could touch his clothes, and they got healed. Now, Jesus, everywhere he went, he didn't have to heal anybody. He could have said, hey, you guys are such nice people. I'm going to give you a brand new body when you get to heaven. No, he didn't say that. He could have said, you got leprosy and your brother Lazarus is dead. Good luck with that. I'll see you. In the meantime, I'll be praying for you. But no, there is no instance where somebody sought Jesus out in earnest who he didn't heal. Back in those days, there would be the village healer, the village physician. And typically, that village physician would use herbs and water and foods to heal you. Now, Jesus was not in competition with them. People would come to Jesus and they'd be blind, they'd be crippled, they would have leprosy, they'd be dead. And so, and God would heal their bodies. There was one guy whose friends were so determined to help him out that they hauled him up on the roof and lowered him down into a room so that their friend would be healed. I need those kind of friends. And I have some of those friends in this room right now. So I'm thanking you very much for in public to let you know that I appreciate your presence in my life. And so why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because in order to be as healthy as we want to be, we have to be willing to do something different. You have to be willing to put up with naysayers and transcend doubt. I can't tell you the number of times my family has clowned me for having my refrigerator full, but there's no food in it. Because it's got all the vegetables and kale and juice and stuff like that. They didn't even recognize that as food. And I got clowned so many times, you can't believe it. So you got to be willing to transcend all that stuff in order to make sure you get where you're going. You have to have a vivid picture of you living your life at your best, you having health freedom, you playing ball with your kids and your grandchildren, you having a balanced life, you having productivity at your work, you living a life of quality and sufficiency, you having a great relationship, enjoying a fulfilling life with the ones you love and the ones who love you. You know that song that goes, I never knew love like this before? When I was in my health retreat, I was still trying to get my sleep because I was still in denial. I was still thinking I could get my sleep if I just take my cookies. And my wife found out, and my mother found out. And I was about to be disowned by both of them on the same day. They were in collusion. And I had to stop and think, I'm just trying to get my sleep game on. I'm just trying to get my sleep. But they're like, no, you don't understand. You don't need to touch that stuff. You got to figure something else out. And finally, when I got out of the hospital, I went and connected with the sleep doctor. But I had to go through that. You never know love until people who love you are willing to get into your stuff to make sure that you stay around, not just for your sake, but for theirs. Now, unlike the scarcity of healers in Jesus' day, you and I are surrounded by health and wellness professionals who are educated, trained, qualified, experienced, and ready to help you achieve your desired health freedom. How many healthcare providers do we have in the building right now? Yep, all around you. Their phone needs to be ringing, and you need to be calling them. So many of us have our expectations so low that we fall over the bar. So many times that we think that we belong on the floor, groveling to lose weight, begging for insurance to pay for the consequence of our toxic lifestyles, expecting to take a pill to solve a problem that will never go away. Achieving vitality is an entirely different game. When I served in the Olympics in Los Angeles, I served athletes of 42 countries and 52 sports. The most valuable thing and inspiring thing that I learned while spending time with the athletes is this. There is a life that exists far beyond a cure for disease, far beyond any pain that you could possibly be in. And the pursuit of vitality, like the pursuit of the fountain of youth, it takes drive, determination, grit, resourcefulness, a team of forward-thinking professionals and friends who would be willing to haul you up onto a rooftop if that's what it takes for you to see the face of God and live the best life you're meant to live. And unlike the thousands of people who were healed by Jesus alone, most of us have complex needs and complicated lifestyles. We need a team of health professionals. You know, there's been a lot of debate about what we do with our healthcare system. Does it need to change? Well, I believe that the healthcare system has so many great benefits, but we need to change our expectations of what the system can provide for us. I realize that there are 5 levels of existence with health. Now, in the foundation, you've got your doctors, in the hospital, you need urgent care. And that's where people are fighting for their lives in the hospital. You want that hospital to be there. You want them doing what they do. Now, as soon as I got out of the hospital, then I need my outpatient care. I'm going to get my sleep doctor test. I'm going to get my prostate exam. I'm going to get my blood work. And I have a primary care physician who's helping me explain all that stuff and what it means and why that's important. And so that's why you need a team. Not everybody does everything. At the next level up, I call it can you read this? Maintenance and waiting stage. This is where you feel all right. Nothing you want to do is you're not being prevented from doing anything you want to do. So you just chill. Not being proactive, not in pain, just maintaining. Getting a checkup every once in a while. But then the next level up, that's where the proactive and preventative stage is. You're taking yoga classes, you're going to Pilates, reading self-help books, eating organic food, making healthy choices, hanging out with healthy friends. So that's that level of existence. And then on the top level, you've got people who are competitive, people who are training for something. I have a lot of clients now, they say, well, hey, when I get off of work, I'm going to go on my 70-mile backpack trip for a week. And they are training for that. And so at the highest level, they're at the ambitious and competitive level. We still need everybody in place. Health mysteries are bad for your health. If you don't know what your resting pulse is, what your blood glucose is, what your blood pressure is on a daily basis or in some regular basis, then you could be waiting for trouble. That's when you're in the yellow zone in the middle. If you miss getting your checkups on a regular basis, you could lose out and it could be a death trap. Waiting can be a death trap. So you always need to stay active. What we need is a vitality team. Wouldn't it be nice if I could talk to my medical doctor and my medical doctor could talk to my fitness trainer who I'm working out with to say, hey, listen, he needs to focus on aerobics and here's what he can do, here's what he can't do. Wouldn't it be nice if your massage therapist would talk to your nutritionist and say, listen, I see something with their skin and therefore that means that he's missing such and such nutrient in their body. So wouldn't it be nice if everybody talked to each other? And this is where you and I come in. As you build your vitality team, you want to have your primary care physician on there. You want to know that there's an urgent care facility near you and that doctor has some relationship with that facility. You want to make sure that you have regular checkups. And regular checkups change as you go along. In the beginning, I didn't need that much, but hey, now I need checkups for everything. So who needs to check up for everything? Yes. Are you feeling me? All right. Up until April of 2018, I was just fine in the green zone, being preventative and being proactive, and then my head exploded, and then I had to go to urgent care to save my life. Now, I want them to be ready and ready to rock when I show up. What if we get rid of the healthcare system? What if we get rid of the urgent care facilities in our neighborhood? Then what? What happens to us if we have a heart attack? What happens to us when we get into a car accident? What happens to our kids? We need everything in place, but we need to change our perspective about what each level of care can do for us and how it can support us. And we also need to be actively involved in orchestrating all of it and understanding what everybody does. Your fitness trainer is not your doctor. Your nutritionist is not your primary care physician, and your physician doesn't study nutrition. They don't do that. So as soon as you get done and your physician says, you're good, then you go to a person who loves nutrition. Another thing that I learned from Olympians is that you have to have a big enough reason to stay in the game. You have to be willing to use the courage to ditch your drinking buddies, because they're not going to encourage you to eat healthfully so that you can handle all the alcohol. don't hang around your drinking buddies if when you hang out with them, you make unhealthy choices. You might have to ditch your foodie friends. Because if you're being encouraged to, hey, you can cheat on your diet today. Why are you on a diet? I was talking to somebody just the other day, and their friend was like, are you going to eat like you always eat all the time? Well, we're going to Vegas. I can have a margarita. No, you can't. If your commitment is to be healthy, then you have to keep those choices going. And don't let people clown you when you have a commitment to your kids to be healthy and be present for them. Throughout my life, I've diligently studied the lifestyles of people who build empires from dust. The ones I admire the most are the ones who live with quality and integrity and a legacy worth living up to. I've discovered that you can have anything you want, but there's a catch. You have to know how to handle it when you achieve it. So as you set your goals, including your health goals, you have to ask, and then why? And what will happen after that? You want to be strong? Who wants to be strong? Well, why do you want to be strong? How strong do you want to be? And what will happen after that? You want to be healthy and fit? Who wants to be healthy and fit? Okay, you want to be healthy and fit? How healthy? How fit? I discovered in the Olympics that a tennis player doesn't run marathons, and a marathoner isn't a diver. They all have their different levels of what they're fit for. So you have to say, I want to be able to run around the block in 10 minutes, or I want to be able to keep up with my grandkids, or I want to go boogie boarding with my grandkids. I want to go dance after work with my spouse. You have to say how fit you want to be. How fit? And then why? Why does that matter? And what will happen after that? Trust that there will be value and benefits of your choices and actions today that you can't see right now. In the Los Angeles Olympics, I met Juma Ikanga from Tanzania. I was on the Olympic sports massage team, the first Olympic sports massage team ever. My job was to help him and 300 other athletes from 42 countries win, and so that they can leave a legacy of opportunities and education for their fellow countrymen. Now, I said, Juma, nobody needs to run 100 miles a week. Why are you running 100 miles a week? And I said, why do you run marathons? He says, Aaron, because when I win, I can use the money to build a school in my village back home. He had a what for that kept him in the game no matter what. And every time he wins some money, he can buy some more equipment, some more tools. The year after that, I was working on the start line of the San Francisco Bay to Breakers and witnessed a group of about 20 runners from Tanzania and Kenya who were inspired by Juma Ikanga. 35 years later, when I was in the hospital, one of the nurses who helped save my life was from Tanzania and went to one of those schools. I'm here today because my parents had a dream that one day their kids might be able to take advantage of opportunities that were not available to them in their day in the South. And by demonstrating the benefits of hard work and high morals, my parents gave me a foundation of wisdom and confidence so that I can have a life worth living. I've learned that without a legacy of good health, you cannot pass on quality. You can't pass on, you can't protect your children from the outcomes and the consequences of a technology-driven, sedentary lifestyle. I'm going to show you this picture, and it drives me crazy when I see kids using their phones like this. What you see on one side is the before. You're a young person, curled over, looking at their phone, and what you see is what they will look like maybe by the time they're 30 or 40 years old. These people are in their 70s and 80s, but the kind of problems that kids are going to have today because they're sedentary isn't developing their bones, and they won't be able to hold themselves upright if they've spent the whole lifetime keeping their head forward like this. You will not be able to protect your kids from the consequences of overconsumption of supersized meals devoid of nutrition. You can't protect them from the consequences of watching violence on TV. Be sure that you will leave a legacy no matter what you do. The question I have for you is, what health legacy do you want to demonstrate for your children to follow? Why is that important? And what will happen after that? In every surviving species, the parents teach the children what to eat, what to avoid. Don't go there. Don't mess with that person over there. But what's happened is this kind of parenting has been replaced by tabloid coverage of trash-talking celebrities and pointless reality shows. Not my reality shows, but the ones that are pointless. We watch it and like, oh, that was interesting. The problem is not that they produce this kind of programming or in the social media. The problem is that we as parents have failed to teach our children to be selective about what they put in their minds and what they put in their bodies. We have to be selective ourselves for our own sake, because what will happen after that is our kids will watch us live our lives, and they will teach their children how to do what we do. And that's why it's so important for us to make sure that we make decisions today in our lives right now, so that we can create a legacy of good health for our children, but also make sure that our children can pass it on to have something to pass on to their children. It saddens me when I see, as a posture expert, now I'm a posture expert. There are 10,000 hours that takes to get to mastery in just about any field. I have 100,000 hours in helping people with their bodies, especially with their posture. And what I've discovered about posture is that there's a looming epidemic of poor posture hiding in plain sight. You see our kids like this. By the time they're 30, 40 years old, I'm having kids with hip problems and shoulder problems, and because they're bent over their technology, holding their phone 6 inches away from their face while they have their legs curled up under them, working on their homework on their laptops. There are over 50 health conditions related to poor posture. And I was deciding, hey, what are the 50? And I started making a list. Can anybody read any of this? IBS, yes. So these are all problems related to posture. And there's no medicine and no surgery that can correct your body when you have poor posture. You have to do something. It's not going to magically go away. It won't magically improve itself. You can't take anything. You can't go to a medical doctor and have him prescribe something for you except exercise that will improve your posture. Again, the problem is not technology. How much time I have? 16? Okay, great. How much? Okay, great. Again, the problem is not the technology itself. We need the technology now. The problem is that with advancements in technology, we're losing access to the very essential elements of our humanity. The soul becomes eventually inconsequential, and the legacy of a life of substance and contribution becomes a distant memory for your children and their children. At this moment in time, we're at a choice point for how we live and demonstrate stewardship of our own health. The resources for our choices to live with quality and freedom already exist. There are healers all around us. There are nutritionists who want to make sure you know what to eat for your body. There are fitness trainers who are just waiting for you. We have a fitness trainer. There's a fitness trainer right in our midst. She wants you to call her so she can help you achieve your health and fitness goals. I invite you to take a journey with me and my colleagues around the world whose mission in life is to support you. If you have a medical condition or you're injured, then you should go to the doctor. If you need urgent care, go to urgent care. If you need to go to outpatient care, go to outpatient care. But our role in the top half of the hierarchy, our role in the top half of the hierarchy is to lift you higher than you've ever been before with your health. No one of us knows everything, but together we all win. You already have a reason to live. I promise you that when you live with vitality, you'll have a life that's fabulous beyond measure. My name is Aaron Lloyd Ulysses Parnell, and I stand for a life of quality, freedom, and enjoyment for you and your family. I believe that if you're going to live at all, you might as well live with vitality. Amen. It's your birthright to be healthy and free. Now take it. In closing, we started out by talking about how important it is to take care of the vehicle that is your body so that you can get the most mileage out of it. Don't drive your body into the junkyard. You heard my story about having 2 life-threatening events. Be clear that it is by the grace of God that I should be the 1 in 3 who gets to live. My other saving grace is that I took care of my body. I was well-nourished and fit before those events occurred. And just now, we just explored and expanded our perspective of using the health resources we have at our disposal to see a more useful way to build our own personal vitality team. We just touched on the consequences of doing nothing and letting technology, pop culture, and the media define our health legacy. Finally, there's a lot of science to support that the healthier you are, if there's a stroke in your life or when calamity strikes, the more likely you are to survive an event such as that. The most important and most valuable asset you have is your health. Raise your health standards. Set your My Best Life goals. Build your vitality team. Remember why this is important and who your health matters to. Move up the health hierarchy and create a legacy of health freedom. It's up to God how long we live, but it's up to you and up to us how well we live. Now's the time for questions and answers. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Everything you said resonated for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could speak for just a moment about the relationship of aches and pains to the health issues that you've spoken about.
Thank you for your question. The question is, what's the relationship between aches and pains and the kind of health I'm talking about? Being a posture expert, has anybody ever played Legos? Not Legos, what's that thing? Jenga. Anybody ever played Jenga?
Yes.
So there's a perfect arrangement of these Jengas so that they stack up right as high as you can possibly get them. And force goes through that tower that you build in a specific way. And when something's off balance, what happens? Nothing. The whole thing comes apart. There is a perfect arrangement for your body, and that perfect arrangement is having great posture. Your muscles being in alignment with, in balance, so that they're strong enough to hold themselves in balance and flexible enough so that it's easy and you don't have to think about it. And so when people have great posture, they have a pain-free life because they're flexible, they're strong, and they're agile. Thank you for your question. All right. Yes, and then your question after that.
Can you kind of explain briefly just the journey that you took after your second event? So, you woke up out of the hospital after having this life-threatening and then life-altering situation happen to you. But then, the process of healing, how long it took, the challenges you had, what you do about them, that kind of thing.
Okay. Just to clarify, what was my process? What was my journey getting back to where I am now? And I'm at the 14th month mark after after the guy said, you got some time. So after I got out of the hospital, they wheeled me to the front door and they said, see ya, you're not dead. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I can't even walk. So I used a walker to get around. My mom can tell you that I had to, we have a vacation house that we stay at, and I had to live downstairs because I couldn't go up 17 stairs. And I had to stay downstairs because I could barely walk. I had to hold on and pull myself up the handrail to get upstairs if I wanted to go up there. And so I needed to well-nourished. I slept for about 17 hours a day for about a month. And then when I went back to work, I could work 3 hours, but not before 10 and not after 6. And for me, I was taking 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. clients prior to going into the hospital. So I had to shut it down on both ends of the day and only decide I'm going to work 3 hours. And now I'm able to work maybe 6 hours, but not like an 8-hour day and then, and still keep serving clients. I have a max. So it's nourishment, making sure I get all my checkups and make sure I rest. And so when I need to sleep, I got my little angel in my life. Raise your hand. Erin, are you getting enough sleep? Did you wake up all right? She watches out for me. All right. Next question. You had a question? Julia.
Posture affect IBS?
Imagine this. If my body is upright, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. If my body is upright, then the weight of my body gets passed through my bones straight to my feet. If my posture is curled over, then there's compression. And in a compressed environment, a hollow organ doesn't work very well. It compresses on all food that goes inside, and you'll actually obstruct the process of digestion. So you can have irritable bowel syndrome. Throw in stress, throw in a sedentary lifestyle, then you have a recipe for IBS. Thank you for that question. I have one and then one. Quickly. Yes, sir.
I just got a comment. Thanks very much for your thought, for what you really explained us to us and talk about your private life.
Thank you.
It really touched me, and I really appreciate it. If God let you survive, it's because you got something else to do. Thanks very much.
And thank you. My blessings to your family.
Well, I just wanted to wrap it up.
All right. Okay. End session. Okay, there we are. Everybody's on time. And
It's been a busy day. And,
okay.
Didn't want to keep people in longer than necessary. I want to thank you personally for your presentation and your inspiration.
I'll be available at our resource table if anybody has any questions to ask.
And I think your team is going to help us with a stretch.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So,
Is now that time, or in a few minutes is that time?
any second now.
Okay, any second now.
Well, we have a gift for you.
Oh, okay.
So wanted to make sure you get that.
All righty. Thank you very
and
much.
I'm going to just tell you a personal story. I mean, Aaron I think you had just gotten out of the hospital, and he sent me this email, explained everything that was happening, and I'm just like gasping every sentence that I read. And you could just still feel the love and the energy, even when you were down on your luck. And BAC members, I told them, and we were sending you texts, and
I really
and-
appreciate it because it mattered. Like somebody cares. I better stick this out for you. And so thank you.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Aaron.
All right.
So now we're gonna get our body moving.
All right.
5 minutes of stretching.
Are we doing it right here or somewhere else?